All right, hi everyone. We are back with 6 Degrees of Ashley, and today we have a very special guest, special to my heart and life, Miss Cristal.
Hey.
Okay, so in case you do not know, we are possibly familiar to some of you or recognizable to some of you, but not everyone. So I'm going to start with Cristal. Would you like to say how people possibly think they could know you?
You know, that is such a good question, Ashley, to ask if I want to tell, because the answer is usually no. The answer is really no. I don't want to tell you. You know, if you figure it out, then it's like, okay. But I was on the very first season of Flavor of Love. And 20 years later, I am still recognized for that. It's crazy.
I understand completely.
I know that you do.
Yes, so whenever Cristal and I first started becoming friends and we would take pictures and do stuff, people would be like, I know her from somewhere. And I'm like, I'm not telling her business, because if you recognize her, cool.
Right.
But if not, then I understand the feeling of I'm not putting that on the pedestal.
I'm not. Because like I've been wiping my ass this entire time. So like the time that I was wiping it, for this couple weeks of my entire life, it is really not for me.
Yes. So with me, if you do recognize me or if I am familiar, mine was actually on BET's College Hill. I did College Hill Atlanta, of course, here in Atlanta, Georgia. And that was back in 2007. It didn't air until 2008. But that was actually, how long were we in the house? Maybe like a month, probably longer than that, I believe. So it was a wild time back then.
Yeah.
It was a wild time.
Yeah. It was absolutely the wild, very wild west.
Yes, and especially comparing it to reality TV now.
Yeah.
A lot of TV shows now have cast members, and that's what they are. They are cast members.
For sure.
This is not all the time people's real life. And we'll get into that later on how these shows are produced. But, you have cast members who are on TV in their own homes and, at restaurants and clubs and outings, lounges and so forth. We actually had to move into a home.
Yeah, right.
So what was that like for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I came into it so green, just not knowing what to expect. And once I got there, because I had all of this previous information from music videos and, I knew what a production was like. So I expected to move to a production. And when I got there, I had no expectations. When I got there, I moved into a production. This house was unfinished. There were certain walls that we couldn't touch because, it might just be something up against a wall or, a divider of some sort. And, it wasn't really like a house. It was a set. But then there were things that are typically on a set that would be missing sometimes, So it definitely skated the line. But when you take someone out of their element, oh my gosh,
I get that, especially when they throw you in a home or on a set for a consecutive amount of time.
Right.
With complete strangers.
Right.
And so when I started taping College Hill, I was 21 years old, and it was a wild experience for me just because I learned a lot about myself and how I deal with people and how people deal with me and how people perceive me and how I perceive myself.
Yeah.
But being in the home, I completely get the whole, well, it's a house, but it's a set.
Right.
Because we had this thing like that, we call it the bat phone.
Mm-hmm.
So that was when stuff would be taking place inside of the house, and then one of the producers or something would call us and tell us something on the phone, and we had to somehow incorporate that into what we were doing at that particular time. Like, hey, go get the alcohol or go get the game. There's a game that we want you guys to play. Stuff like that. So my experience was all over the place.
Yeah.
Because I remember a specific time when it was the BET Awards. And it was a time when my sister had come in town, and I hadn't seen my nephew since the day that he was born. At the time, KJ was only 3 months old.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Now he's 17. Yes. So he was only 3 months old. My sister had come in town, and, my family wanted to see me. And you know how I am with my family.
Right.
Yes, we are trunk tight. And so it was a situation where they wanted us to be like getting ready for the award ceremony and everything like that. And they had hair appointments and so forth, but they didn't give us all of the information to make it seem as if they had a schedule for us. Because, if we're not at school, we're just in the house pretty much, unless they tell us ahead of time, like, hey, you guys are going somewhere. Other than that, like, we're just inside of the house.
So y'all can go anywhere.
So we had a driver. So when we did go somewhere, it was something that we all had to agree to together as a team.
And they would take the production.
Yes. So it would be a team effort, and that was just like going to the club or something like that. Other than that, like, no, you're in the house. And keep in mind, we're in the house with one phone, no call waiting, 2 computers, one has internet, and everybody's in school.
Yeah.
So during the time where my family wanted to come, it actually ended up being a huge episode, only because of the fact that it was a multitude of reasons. But one of the first reasons was because of the fact that production told me no. Like, no, your family can't come in here. Like, they can't come to the house, because it wasn't in line with what they saw or envisioned for the show and how they wanted it to go. So I raised a fit.
Of course you did.
I raised a whole fit. I had a whole conniption. Girl, it wasn't until I packed my suitcase and got that shit down the stairs that they knew I was serious.
Yeah, right.
I was like, I don't need this show. My house bigger than theirs. And that's what I told them. I was just like, I don't need to be here. Right. I said, if I can't see my family, I said, that's so hypocritical of you all. Because y'all let Drew and whoever rando from off the street come and visit. Y'all let people come and have house parties and gatherings and so forth. But my parents can't show up here. I was like, no, I could get up out of here. I don't need this. Girl, I was so ready to go. But then it turned into something, because I remember me and Drew getting into it, and then it making my family like uncomfortable from how he was talking on the phone. So that became a big thing. And then us going to dinner later on. And so what they never showed was the underlying, like, the backstory of how I had to fight to let them, to make sure my family came over. So it was a big deal that he made it uncomfortable for them. And then for me, when I just wanted to just see my family.
Did they use the footage of your family being there?
They used like a small clip of it just because it played into the storyline of me and Drew at that particular time and where we were. Yeah. Before, they had no reason to really, in their opinion, let my family come over, because this is a college show. It's about partying and so forth. Like, they needed me to be the villain. So seeing the way that my family loved on me wouldn't have aligned with the character.
Right, that you were still going to be yourself.
Yes.
And that they were going to be like, Ashley.
Yes.
Like,
it didn't align with what they had in their mind for me, for how they were going to portray me on TV. That was something that I had to learn. But you learn a lot of stuff when you're actually watching yourself. But that was a whole crazy experience. What's one of the craziest experiences that you had while you were in the house?
Craziest experience, the whole thing was crazy. The whole thing was, I sometimes it's like I want to answer you, not how I've answered that before. Mm-hmm. Because you give the answer that I'm supposed to give. I'm supposed to say that Heidi was so crazy. Oh my God, and that was the craziest part, of being on this show. But really, it was, when I look back on it, it was how they controlled us psychologically.
Girl.
And that is really like the crazy part. To be in therapy now for things that are seemingly unreality TV related. You said you were 21 when you did College Hill. I was 22 for Flavor of Love. I would have been coming home from it right around this time. And
same.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know.
But know that someone is pulling us into a room and not saying, go fight such and such, but doing things to,
get you riled up.
To kind of sitting in the background and being like, okay, these people probably really don't care for each other too much. They keep bumping and, let me go ahead and stir a bit of drama in that. Let me add some alcohol. Okay. Let me add some liquor. And then I'm going to call them in here one by one and say, Cristal, what is Ashley's problem with you? And I'm like, Ashley got a problem with who? Okay. And then they're like, oh yeah, never mind. Enjoy your evening. Take your cup. And then so when I come back out, it's like,
I understand that sentiment completely. So mine was, they were determined to have me and Drew bump heads because we were the strong personalities within our genders, Right. So it's just like, it would be times, I remember specifically when Drew and I had gotten into it, and we were in London, and we had to go to a restaurant at one point, and these Negroes gave us the seating chart. I said, y'all got me bent, okay? First of all, why would y'all sit him next to me? Why would you attempt to sit him next to me? Y'all know damn well I'm not about to sit next to this man. I said, because he's a grown man, and if I feel threatened in any type of way, I'm going to stab him. And that's exactly what I told her. I'm fighting for my life. Because there were utensils. I remember seeing the forks. I remember seeing the knives. I remember seeing
that. You could possibly spear a castmate.
But this was after the fact that we had already gotten into it in Atlanta at a restaurant, and so I'm just like, okay, so now I'm on defense. Now I'm on defense, and now I'm offended because you all knew the circumstances of us about to get into a physical altercation, and you all thought it was a good idea to do a freaking seating chart for two people who literally just went at it. They were supposed to announce to us. So there was this one episode where we went at it so bad. That was apparently them taking us to dinner to celebrate, to surprise us with a trip to London. Oh, me and Drew about tore that restaurant apart. So it was just like, nope. So we didn't know that was a thing until the next day when they came over and was just like, hey, you guys are going to London. And, we had the little envelope and everything. But that was something that they had to come up with because they had a cake for us and everything. Like, baby, when I tell you that was probably the highest ranking episode that we had because it was filled with so much drama. We were both just so in our emotions at that time, young, angry. And then it didn't help that there was alcohol involved in prior to us even having. There's always alcohol involved in reality TV.
One of the ingredients, it is the salt, okay? So you put in all of these things, but that dash of salt really just turned it the fuck up every time. And so there's always going to be alcohol. There was always alcohol. Sometimes there was no food. But there was alcohol.
That's something that was consistent within the reality.
I'm talking about it never ran out. There was never a time where there was no champagne. There was never a time where someone had to go get more tequila. Never. But there was always a time when breakfast was on its way.
Now, one thing I will say that I did not like for Dennis was the fact that Dennis was 20 at the time. So Dennis was underage, and production would sneak him alcohol and say that you're not allowed to drink it on camera, but you can have this.
Because it is an ingredient in this recipe. It is an ingredient in this recipe. And like I said, I was season 1 of this shit. And, people always point to like Real World. Well, Real World was a different time. By that point, from that, when it was my turn, they knew that they had to add alcohol.
They knew the sauce. They saw what, like, okay, this works, that works. Oh, well, what made that episode such a episode that people gravitated to? What made it, if there was social media at the time, it'd be a completely different world, just because of the fact that these clips would not only just live forever, but they would be highlighted just for the negative input or, output that they gave.
Right.
And it's just like after season 4 of College Hill, like if you notice, there season 1 through 4 of College Hill literally was at schools because that was the focus.
Yeah.
But because of what took place with Cristal and Vanessa in the Virgin Islands, no school would associate themselves with the brand. Wow. So we were the first actual College Hill season that was strictly city-based. It didn't have a university attached to it. And it was for that reason. College Hill had got a bad rep from everything that took place, with the previous season. And they were just like, no, so y'all are just going to be Atlanta.
You know what? I don't know that I ever really thought about that, because I know that you did not go to college in Atlanta.
I did go to Georgia State, so that's what I was there for. I went to Savannah State.
Okay. Right.
Shout out SSU, okay? Seaport, all right.
So you met Georgette at school?
At here, yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Georgette and I were in African American studies. We were in African American studies class. Hey, Dr. Holmes. And what's so funny is she's literally the only person that I remember from Georgia State. Sorry if you all know me and I went to school with you or in class. Just Georgette. And I tell her all the time, I'm like, I did not graduate, but I happily pay my freaking student loan debt and my friend fee because I got a forever friend out of being there.
That's how I feel about Sergio. I feel the exact same way. If nothing else came from college, and I can't say nothing else came from college, but if nothing else came, then I will 100% take my Aries.
Yep.
And be still proud of what I accomplished there. Exactly. I made a real ass friend.
Mm-hmm. And man, they are important. They are very important. Right. Especially coming off of TV and people thinking that they know you when they don't.
Right. Yeah. People thinking that, Sergio saved me in a lot of that way, because he was, I moved here in 2002, and then I graduated from college in 2004, and then I did Flavor of Love in 2005. So I really only had friends from college. Mm-hmm. I had a handful of friends from college, and I had a handful of friends or people from the industry. Solo, for instance, my long-term manager. But that was really it, And so lots of the friends that I have now are people that I met after that. And I'm just so thankful. So thankful for the friends that made it through that kind of era. Like, who knew that kind of attention was going to come from? Did you know? Did you know?
No. And what's so crazy is I remember College Hill not even being my only option for being on TV at the time.
Yeah.
I remember my friend Rochelle, and it's so funny because both of us ended up on a flight together. And I was just like, Rochelle? She was just like, hey, I was like, where are you going? We were both being casted for Temptation Island on Fox. And so I remember I got my contract or my information or email, like, you made it, from both of them within a couple of days apart. And I remember having a conversation with my mother on which show I should pick. And the thing was, I just decided on College Hill because I felt like it would be better for me, simply because I felt like I could avoid whatever drama would be coming my way in the city where I live, where my home is, where my family is, versus being on an island somewhere where the energy was just completely sexual. Yeah. The goal is to get people to match up and pair up and whatever. It's called Temptation Island. Right. So it's just like, I don't think like that's the route I want to take. But they flew me to LA. It was a good experience and everything like that. But I feel like I did College Hill on a fluke. So Sierra and I were already friends because I was doing background I think I did background for like ATL and a couple of other things that were in Atlanta. And so we had met on set. And so and plus we both went to Georgia State. And so I remember I had class that day, and I called Sierra, and she was in line, auditioning and saying like how long the line was and everything. And we had did Spring Bling, like we were models for Spring Bling before that. So when we were in the model van, they're taking us from like the Doubletree Hotel, like to the beach or whatever to set. And they passed out these cards saying like College Hill was, coming up, like auditions and everything like that. So, here's some information for you to audition. Went over my head, didn't think too much about it. But fast forward to Sarah being in line and, us talking and everything like that. She was just pretty much not necessarily deterring me, but was just like, this line out here is crazy. And I want to say the auditions were until like 5:00. But what happened was I got there at like 5:03. And when I got there, one of I don't know if she was a PA or what, a production assistant or what, but she was telling the guy in front of me that they had closed auditions, like they had closed it. And I remember Sean Rankin seeing me coming out there and was just like, go ahead and let her in. So how it went was there was a group interview and there was like paperwork that you had to fill out. So I'm literally in the group of people. It's like 11 or 12 of us or something like that. And I'm filling out the paperwork and she's having conversation. This guy said something. I just thought it was ridiculous. And so I peeped up from doing out the paperwork and I was just like, why would you say that? Like, why would you think that? And I was just like, this makes more sense, X, Y, Z, and the third. Because I ain't going to call nobody stupid, but I'm going to explain, like, I don't know. And so I don't know what it was, but I was the only person that went along to the next round. And then there was another interview, and then they, was a callback to sit in front of whomever, and they ask you questions, and then you do a personality quiz and some other stuff. And so I eventually was picked for the show. Me and Sierra were picked for the show. But I did make sure in my interview that I brought up that, we were friends. And it's so crazy because even though I did move into a house with some strangers, I already known Dorian. We did a fashion show together for Ludacris. I'd already known Sierra, so it was just like, I'm expecting you all to be there because I know you. And then I met Dennis while we were like auditioning at some point. And they were just saying like, you all aren't supposed to get to know each other and everything like that. And so when we got there, I'm just like, okay, that's a familiar face. Mm-hmm. Sarah's my friend. Dorian, we're already cool. Right. So it's just like, it made it a little bit easier. Yeah. But it's still, I would call a mind fuck going into a situation not knowing what to expect. Yeah. So that was a crazy time for me, especially being young. And when you're young and you're not even just being young, when you're 21 years old, it's not even that you think you know everything, but you consider yourself an adult, but you don't realize you still have so much to learn and so much to go through and so much to grow through. So I had to grow up a lot in that house in that short amount of time. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting. What was like some of your experiences after the fact? Like
after the fact, so before Flavor of Love, I had dated this guy for years and years and years, and we had broken up. And I had never dated really in Atlanta. Okay, I've been in Atlanta for a couple years at this point. I've been in Atlanta for 3 years, and I hadn't really dated in Atlanta. And so now I'm dating a little bit in Atlanta, and I'm like, yo, what? Okay. And this was, 20 years ago. But, so I did the show, and then after the show, after we filmed, but before it came on, me and the boyfriend get back together. Because I spent this Christmas in Memphis, in his hometown. Like, we got right back together. And, he was... he had to deal with it too. We were trying to work out years and years of shit. And shit from, day one of our relationship. We had been together, but it was, things, and we were young. But now this is added onto it. Like, your girl kiss Flavor Flav. I did not kiss Flavor Flav. I did not kiss Flavor Flav. Run the tape back. But, you know, like, that was what he was getting. And then it's like, you know, what do I even say? I didn't kiss Flavor Flav. You know, he's like, bitch. You know, like, yo, what the fuck? Like, how am I supposed to take you back? You know, how are we supposed to be back together? We can't go through shit because now there's all of these new things. And, you know, it was ultimately the demise of our relationship. But what I didn't understand at the time was that it would impact every kind of dating and relationships. I mean, I'm in therapy last year. Was that last year? No, in 22. And I met this guy, okay? And I'm telling my therapist about this guy. And he's like, you know, I'm coming right off this divorce, okay? I'm actually undivorced at this point, but it is the
final stages of the divorce. The paperwork's already in. It's just the
right.
situation.
I don't know. Right. We're just waiting on the stamp.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling my therapist, and he's like, you know what this sounds like? Like, have you ever watched The Bachelor? Now, mind you, this old ass Jewish man knows that I've done TV or whatever, but he doesn't understand what the show is and, you know, its cultural impact and who Flavor Flav. He doesn't know or understand any of that. But he's telling me that I'm dating as if I am a contestant on the show that my show was directly modeled after.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 22. My dating history is not that long. You know, this counts as a formative relationship building. And from that moment on, Ashley, every guy that I liked, it was like whatever he did, it was almost my responsibility, my job, what I have been casted for is to like win the challenge, like deal with it and win the challenge. You got other women, okay, you know, I just need to be the winner and not be like, you guys have a nice time. You know, I had to learn that. I had to unlearn that and then relearn it as an adult because, like I said, some of my formative dating experiences are based around this reality show that I opted into before my brain was fully developed. Like, who would have ever thought? Girl,
speaking of dating and doing reality TV, hot mess. I do not advise it, okay? It's ghetto over there. Okay, so first of all, like, I remember being in a relationship and it was literally, we met before the show even aired. Mm-hmm. And I felt like after the show aired, it was kind of like a competition for him. Like, for him to be who he's supposed to be while not being under my shadow because people recognized us when we went out. And, you know, he would be... Okay, yes, I'm talking about you, David. Okay. Getting that...
Is it Libra call out?
Getting that out of the way. So, yeah, so you don't have to even... Yes, it's not anything personal. This is just a true life story time, okay?
Leave your decoder at home.
Yes, so... my daughter's father was not, I don't want to use the word insecure, but that's the only way that I could describe how he was at that time. And I feel like the reason I did so much for him at that particular time in his life when he was a struggling artist is because I had to let him know that he had his own self in life that was outside of me, and whatever I can do to assist you into being who you need to be so you don't feel like you're just on the back burner. His first time on, you know, BET or whatever was him as my boyfriend from 2007 on BET.com. Like,
you know, and sometimes, you know, I don't think, I know that he does not appreciate it. But the person that got you in the door so that you can manifest your dreams, that you can go and actually like touch it, okay, is so important. You know, it's so important. Pray for that person. Thank God for that person tonight. You know, the person that lets you go and touch it.
So it's just like he was the first person that put me in the mindset like, yo, like you're judging me off of something that not only I did when you were not even around, you were not even a thought, I didn't know you and so forth, because we met through Neo. And so it's just like you were not a part of my life at the time. I met you after I came from out of the house and before the show aired. So it was just like one of those situations where you're trying to do whatever you can to make sure, like, you know, they feel seen and everything.
Yeah.
But I also felt myself dimming my own light just to make him not feel like he don't have nothing.
Yeah.
And I did that with a lot of relationships. Not even really a lot, because Cadence only knows one person outside from Lorenz. And she probably don't even remember him because she was like 8 or 9. So she's only known her father in her life as far as a partner of mine, and she knows an ex whose name is not even worth mentioning. So it's just like those are the only 2 people. But it would be times where I'd be just engaging with somebody and they'd be like,
dating,
yes,
you know?
and they'd be like, oh wait, that's where I know you from. I'm about to go Google it. For what? You got me right here, right now. Like, what are you Googling? Why are you Googling my past that everybody already not even just saw, but is not an indicator of who I am now? And it doesn't show you everything, because I distinctly remember us feeling like we did not have content for real. And in our brains at the time, it wasn't content that we were, you know, aiming for. It was just like, it was a point where the producers were like, well, y'all aren't giving us anything for the show. Y'all are being reserved. Like, y'all aren't being yourselves or the people who we casted and so forth. And it's just like, we're getting along. We're liking each other. And that's a problem for you.
This sounds like VH1 had way better psychologists than BET, because they stayed on our ass. But, you know, then again, it's a house full of girls, okay? A house full of women with nothing in common. You know what I mean? With only a man of all things with a girl, okay? With this man in common. And so it was easier to maybe stir drama, because it was never a time where it was like, hey, you guys want to drink some alcohol and argue? Because it was always somebody drink some alcohol and arguing.
Ours was this one particular night where we went out to like Landmark Diner or something, like after the club, and they made it a big deal because I want to say Siobhan had left her ID at home or something like that. And it was just like a big thing. Like, you don't think we're not even on TV yet. You're not famous enough to like leave your ID behind. And honestly, it was like a genuine error. Like, it was like she changed purses because Siobhan, she be with the shits. So it's just like, you know, she had changed bags or whatever. So the bag that she had didn't have her ID in it. And I'm thinking, y'all over here worried about Siobhan leaving her ID? This Negro Dennis ain't even old enough to get into the club. Y'all sneaking him in through production. So y'all be giving him like a little sling bag or something to make it look like he's on the crew, so they don't have to check y'all and ID y'all.
Wow.
Like, quit playing in our faces, yo.
No,
like,
wow.
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, but whatever. They turned it into an episode.
That's like the mustache. Like, we gonna just.
Yeah, and so I'm just like, y'all, and when I really sat and thought about it, like after the fact and all the things that we went through and experienced, and then us being able to talk, like really talk to each other after we're outside of the house, it lets you know, like, yo, just like how they say people can have the same parents but have different experiences in the same household, same thing with us and these producers, okay? Because I remember asking one of the producers, like after the show it ended, and you know, I don't even remember what we were arguing, but it was just a lot going on. But I asked Tiffany, I was just like, would you do this show if you were us? She was just like, hell no. Girl, what you got us here for?
I mean, because like somebody's got to do it. You know, would I do Flavor of Love today? You know, no, absolutely not. You know what I mean? Somebody, you want to go date a guy in a house with 20 other people? You know, I say that. But then I think like, what if they brought me 20 people?
That's a different scenario.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not saying that I would do it, but I would consider it, you know. But if I was the I can't be one of 20.
Yes.
Never again.
I feel you.
You know, like, yeah, no.
That's my mindset, I guess, with College Hill. I don't believe that I would ever do that again, especially with how my experience with the network went.
Yeah.
Like, y'all remember that 106 in Park episode where my whole cast was there and I wasn't? They tried to make it seem like I was busy or I had something to do or didn't want to come. No, I specifically was not invited, okay? They told me I couldn't come.
Ashley, they thought you were going to Kanye the whole thing. Okay.
Like, it didn't make sense to me to hire me for having this strong personality and then penalize me for the same personality at which you casted me for.
Say that again.
I think it's ridiculous and very hypocritical to hire me for having this strong personality so you can get the ratings for your show and then penalize me after you don't need me anymore and you get done your taping, to penalize me to not be able to do the same things my cast member does because of that strong personality. Y'all knew what y'all was getting into when y'all booked me.
That's what happened to me in divorce court. I was penalized for the exact same thing I was hired for.
Like,
you know, but such is life.
Such is life. But there are, I feel like, so many things that took place while we were taping the show that I witnessed after the fact, that my cast members got the opportunity to speak on and speak about and clear up, that I never got the opportunity to do.
Because they thought that you were going to come Kanye the whole day. You know, in every situation, it was like, Ashley is a wild card. You know what I mean? We cannot control her.
And that's what the problem was. They could not control me. And they still can't control me. See what I'm talking about, y'all, now? But the situation was, y'all really are dropping pins, and getting pissed off at me when I step on all the pins that y'all done dropped. And I feel like y'all done not even just abandoned me, but disrespected me. And it's just a matter of, you all knew what you were getting into when you hired me. And we got to talk about that because I don't think that y'all really got my contract back. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to have somebody holler at y'all about that because I don't really think that y'all got my contract, because I do specifically remember sitting in my house one day while the show was airing and them sending me my contract because they said I missed parts of the contract and didn't sign all of the pages. So if anybody know anything about whether or not that's legal to still show my likeness, my personality, and my quote-unquote character without having a contract, y'all let me know, because I got questions. It's been 17 years, but the show still airs. And that's why I have my qualms, really, because people still recognize me at some points. Me and Lorenz went to Chase Walker's Winter Wonderland last night. And I was taking a picture of a guy. Like, when I see people struggling with photos or trying to do selfies, I'll be like, let me take it for you. You know, and so I'm taking the picture and I'm holding up this guy's phone to take a picture of him and Chase. He's just like, I know where I recognize you from now. And I'm just like, well, dang. Okay.
Girl, if I had $1, if I just had $1 in these 20 years, if I just had $1.
And it gets crazy because I remember being in a restaurant. I was in Chili's one time having, you know, I think $3 margaritas or happy hour. This was like 12 years ago. And this girl just kept looking at me. And then she goes, so you gonna act like you don't know me? And I was just like, but I don't know you. Like, who are you? She was like, oh, so you being funny. So you didn't go to such and such high school in such and such place? I said, I've never even been there. I'm from Savannah, Georgia, and I've lived in Atlanta since I left Savannah in 2006. So wherever it is, or whatever it is you're talking about, or whomever you're talking about, I'm not her, she not me, and you don't know me.
Yeah, I've had one of those, and the lady went and got her sister, and the sister came and was like, that's our girl from Flavor of Love.
And her friend, yes.
Hi, girl.
Yes.
You know, I mean, but people would ask, where do I know you from? And I would say, what church do you go to? And then they would pretty much leave me alone. But then sometimes somebody would remember, and then they would come back with an attitude. You could have just said, okay, so let's start the scenario over. Excuse me, where do you know you from? Oh, television. You be mad as fuck. They're telling me that I'm not a celebrity, that I'm not famous, and don't nobody know me. But you do. You do, and it would totally be okay if you didn't. From the bottom of my heart, it would totally be okay with me, if no one ever recognized me from any of the things that I've done ever again. Okay, I would totally be okay. I would have been okay then, and I am really good on it now.
My favorite line is, you just think you famous. No, you think I am, because if not, you wouldn't say it.
Right.
Like, you're not just walking up to Pam, Joe, and Billy on the street and be like, you just think you famous. No, bitch, I'm in here drinking coffee.
$3 margaritas.
Exactly.
But it is that is literally exactly what famous is. And it's not that I want to be famous,
Famous and celebrity can be completely different, but in the same realm. Because if you only know me because you witnessed me on your TV screen,
yes, then they have a word for that.
Exactly.
That I did not make.
I didn't create it.
I didn't create it. I didn't even really ask for it. I set out to be a fashion designer, Ashley, and then someone told me that I was on the wrong side of the camera, and so then I became a model, and then from model I ended up tumbling down the hill and ended up on Flavor of Love. But I didn't set out to be a celebrity for any reason. I didn't set out to be recognizable from anything I was doing 20 years ago.
The thing is, when stuff falls into our lap, if it's meant for us, then it's meant for us.
Yeah.
And I feel like we get the most criticism from people who are trying to do the same things that we've already accomplished.
Right. Yes. I was called washed up from someone that has never accomplished anything in their life. And it's like, it's easy to say that, from the basement of something.
When you've never been washed, okay?
When you've never been washed. When you've never been full of bubbles in life and, all of the things. It's easy to point the finger and say, your bubbles are popped, but I'm clean, bitch. Never, ever forget that.
It's a crazy world to be in, like the entertainment industry in general, just because you don't know what to expect. You don't know who to trust. You don't know if people are genuine or if they're just trying to ride your coattail because they want to put themselves in the same position that you are in.
Or they just like the light, and even though it's your light, they're getting warm as well. I mean, that is very, very true. I was totally 100% blessed for going into Flavor of Love, into reality television, the unknown, already with Solo and already with Jarek.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Solo was my manager, had been managing lots of the things that I had been doing for maybe like a year before then. And the same with Jarek. Like I had met Jarek maybe a year before that as well. And
yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Mine was a different situation because I did not have people who were genuinely not even just happy for me, but did not want something in return or just something in general.
Yeah.
I had one particular friend at the time. She would say things like, I'm not supposed to work. I'm too pretty to work. You're supposed to, like, you're famous. You're supposed to make sure I get put on too. Like, that's what friends are supposed to do. Like, that's your job as a friend, to make sure that I get on the way that you got put on. And I'm just like, girl, I went and I did an audition. Why don't you go and you do something too? Like, you're supposed to make sure I'm in King's Magazine. You remember King's Magazine was a thing back then?
And that is how I paid my bills before Flavor of Love.
Girl, College Hill told us we were not allowed to do King's Magazine. I remember, yeah, because I think it was season 2 that did King's Magazine. And Sean Rankin told us, like, y'all are not allowed to do this, that, the third. And so we weren't allowed to do King's Magazine.
Can I tell you something? My auntie had to tell my grandma one time. Ain't no S.
Oh, King. Okay.
My grandma was saying weeds. My auntie Lolly said one day, she said, it's weed. It's weed. She said, I'm going to tell you that my whole life.
See, that shows how much.
Lolly, right.
Hey, Auntie Lolly. Sagittarius.
King, right.
But yeah, okay, so King Magazine. Yeah. And so I was just like, girl, I'm not even in it. So what job am I supposed to like bring to you that you aren't putting in the work to bring to yourself? And but keep in mind now, this is the same person where, you know, you stand in the house with me and we getting dressed to go to the club and you look at me and you're just like, why you always gotta look better than everybody else? Bitch, I'm just getting dressed. I'm just putting clothes on and I'm doing my makeup. The same thing that you're doing. So please don't project whatever feelings that you have that are negative about me. Like, because I'm not doing nothing to you. I'm just getting dressed. And I was just like, we both are beautiful. Like, why? But she has an ugly soul. Ooh. And hold. But yeah, so it's just like, okay, we're both getting dressed. Like, why would that be your mindset to even think to say why you always gotta look better than everybody else? I'm not attempting to look better than anybody that I am not only sharing my space with, but sharing my energy and we're going out somewhere together. Like, I did not have in all aspects the type of friends that were uplifting about it.
Yeah.
I had people who would talk to me and be like, why you did this on the show and why you did that? And I'm just like, let me give you a lesson in post-production, okay? I am talking to Cristal. I'm telling Cristal how I feel. I'm telling her what's going on. And then there's Billy Joe over here. And production makes it seem like everything that I'm saying to Cristal is being directed to Billy Joe because there's not a frame where both of us are in it at the same time. It's me saying something, it's them saying something, and they piece that shit together.
Yeah.
So don't make it seem like everything that you see on TV is actual factual.
Yeah.
Because, again, during the time when they were just like, you know, we weren't really giving them anything, we created an entire episode off of fake drama that literally was not there. There was one particular episode where I, like, hit Drew's hat off of his head. And when we got back to the house, we laughed about it. He was like, man, that shit was dope. Like, it's going to make good TV.
You know, I suspect, okay, that there were definitely people that were doing shit for TV, you know, but I was far too green to do anything for TV. You know, I knew that when we were filming, you know, I thought, you know, in my underdeveloped brain that when we were filming these outings and the activity, that was really like the meat of the show. Okay. And at this time in the house, yes, cameras, you know, but this is really like B-roll. You know, this is additional footage. They're just going to use this to build up to this time that we're spending with this man, you know, and if he's not here, then this other footage is like, you know, most of it is going to end up on but what I did not know was that was really the show.
Mm-hmm.
And that this stuff that we were doing with this man kind of plays to the background. It's the central theme. It is the thing that unites us. But
yeah,
they don't care about flirt. You know what I mean? They just want to see
the personalities that they hired, the characters and so forth. And it's just like if they already label you going in there, they're not going to shoot things that go against the character that they want you to portray.
For sure.
Like 80% of the meals in that house were cooked by me.
Yeah.
If they weren't cooked by me, the other 5-10% or whatever was Raglan and Sarah, and then after that the last like 10% was freaking Domino's.
Yeah, they definitely did not show Flavor Flav being as hospitable as he was. He was not living in the house with us. You know, he would show up when I thought it was time to film, you know? But he didn't live there. He definitely came. But he'd come and he'd say, you know, how was breakfast? And I'm like, man, it's the third day in a row where I've told them that I don't eat pork, you know, and it's all pork. You know, they have ham and bacon and sausage,
mm-hmm.
but all of it's pork. And he was like, stay right there, you know. And he came back. You know, I'm sure at this point I know that he didn't get in the car and drive. But when I saw him again before, you know, we were filming, he had these packages of turkey bacon, you know, and it's things like that that made it be like, okay, you know.
That's sweet. You're considerate.
It just seemed like we were crazy about this guy, but he was really nice, and we were isolated, that definitely, and there's alcohol, and it's the job that you're casted for, is to see what's up with this guy, but also he is being
a gentleman,
a great guy, go get me some fucking turkey bacon, if somebody goes and does that, and it's like, maybe I would not look at you for the way that you look, but okay, what's your little turkey bacon? What's up? And they're never going to show that. Because like you said, it doesn't play into this narrative. It is easier to just be crazy about a man, and, they just here fighting over Flavor Flav ugly ass, and it's like, yeah, but also...
That's how people perceive it. And it's so crazy because with your show, there were a multitude of spinoffs.
Right. I mean, not only were there spinoffs, then everything else is kind of based around that. The Real Housewives of Atlanta is Flavor of Love. And because at this point, they're realizing that we can take the component of the unifying factor out. We can just get hoes in a room. They just need to be hoes in a room. And as long as we got the hoes, okay, and then we have alcohol, we need some cameras, and then we're like 90% there.
Yo, that sounds like Zeus Network.
I mean, but that's really what it is, because Flavor of Love pioneered a entire
Ray J of Love, Chance of Love,
Zeus, the entire network, whatever they have going on is all based of, Bad Girls Club was Flavor of Love without the man. Yep. Again, we just need the hose. If we get the hose and the alcohol and put them in the house and get the cameras, then that is really all we need. We can take the garlic out and the sauce is still fire. And if we take the garlic out, then what does that save us across this board when we don't have to pay an actual celebrity? We don't need nobody's name. We just gonna call that shit bad.
I agree with that completely. And I have PTSD, so I don't watch reality shows. Totally against it because I don't feel like they're genuine or authentic, because I know producers hype stuff up off camera. Like, I remember after getting into it or whatever with Drew one particular time, the producer came over there like, well, how you feel about this? And he's giving me all this energy. And he's just like, all right, come tape it right now. So you done hype me up to be pissed off. And now you want to do a commentary interview.
Yeah, for sure. There was definitely the fair share of come back, and then they would be like, what's the problem with Ashley?
Yeah.
And it's like, what you mean there's a problem with Ashley? Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Ashley can't do shit. She can't do anything. She can't wipe her nose. She can't laugh at something she remembered her said 6 weeks ago, because I'm ready to beat her ass
That's
for
how
blowing
they do
her
it.
nose while I'm drinking my water. Anything. Man, just the amount of manipulation. But you know what, Ashley? They realize they don't even have to do that. If we get the hose, okay, and we get the alcohol, we don't even really need to give them New York, okay? We don't even need to give them anything else, because now they'll just fight to be at the front, closest to the camera. Who will fight? Who will be the closest to the camera? Who will be the star after all this is said and done? And it's a runaway train. It's a runaway train, because if hoes didn't already want to be famous, then they do now.
Listen,
they certainly want to be New York now. She is for sure the pioneer of getting the closest to the camera, of getting the best shot, of being very intentional about getting the closest shot. That is what I did not realize when I was there. I was just chilling. I'm not going to do anything out of character, because that was what my mom told me. When I told her that I was going to go do this show, and I had done music videos and they thought I was nuts for it. I had done magazines with a thong bikini on and she thought I was nuts for it. But, okay, now I'm going to go do this show. And she's like, I don't want to learn anything new about you, okay, on TV. don't go on TV and do nothing new. I don't want to learn anything new about my child on television. Okay?
I think my mom's pep talk was more like, you know, be yourself, but don't be yourself, like, completely. Yeah. Like, don't give them everything. Your grandma's still going to be watching.
Right. And so, you know, and I just went, and I was just there kind of hanging out. You know, I responded when I was spoken to, you know, for the most part. But there was New York, you know, that was at the top of every table. She was going to be the loudest one. She was going to be, you know, the breakout star. And it was, you know, when I look back on it, it was so intentional, you know, and she did a fantastic job. And she is
still pioneering,
riding a wave that, you know, she had to come in with a mentality like,
this is what I got to do.
I'm about to take this shit.
Yep. She had a game plan. And I think out of my season, Dorian for sure had a game plan. Super duper proud of you, Dorian. Okay.
What is Dorian doing now?
Dorian, he still does acting, but on top of that, you know, he had his Butterskin brand. Was in So I talked to him like last year or whatever. Every time I'm in LA, we miss each other. He invited me to his house, sent me his address, and then something came up and I couldn't make it. Sorry, we still gonna connect.
You know, I'm like Dorian's wife in a music video.
Really?
Yes, like Dorian's wife that is cheating on him.
Oh wow!
And
look at me, I didn't know that.
Like the boss, like the man, but he not treating me right. And there's a whole we shot a mini movie for days.
Wow!
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah.
See,
so
6
shout
degrees.
Out to Dorian.
I know. But one thing that Dorian did talk to me about, he called me and he was just basically telling me like he does not feel that I should not be doing something as far as the entertainment industry goes, because he said like there would not be College Hill Atlanta without you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've
never watched the episode, but what I have gathered is whoever we can say, okay, Dorian is who we're considering the breakout star here. What I've gathered over the years, you know, just as the response, and this is 10 years of us, okay? In 10 years is that you are really the, you know, I hate to call you the New York, but the person that kind of ran the show, the energy, kind of guided the energy of the show. And I've never seen it, you know, but I know that, you know, for sure. Yeah. When I tell people are like, where do I know? I'm like, College Hill. And I can say it proudly because for sure I know that that's where you know her from. If you are guessing, you know, then it is that, because everybody does.
And it's so interesting because I felt so betrayed after the show was over.
Yeah.
And not getting the same opportunities that other people got, and like pretty much being blacklisted was just like, y'all really playing in my face, but you're doing it to be like, yeah, you thought or whatever, just in the breath or the isness of, yeah, you done already did everything we needed you to do, and that same thing that we needed you to do, we don't like now. So we don't have to deal with it simply because we already got everything that we needed. The show is wrapped. And I know that there were things that I could have done differently, but I was also not fully developed. My frontal lobe was not fully developed. And, you know, when you're young and you feel like, man, I done sacrificed, Georgette likes to say, I should use the word invested, but I've invested so much into your brand, into being a Dr. Miracle's hair model that was not even a part of the show. You got us doing many commercials inside of the show. Freaking Dr. Pepper, whatever pizza brand, it was either Pizza Hut or Domino's. I don't even remember at this point.
Whoever your sponsors
are.
The stickers and doing all the things.
Girl, I drink Dr. Pepper to this day, and it wasn't until
not you got a Dr. Pepper addiction.
Girl, it was not until somebody sent me a little clip or whatever or something, and I was just like, yo, now I feel like I gotta quit Dr. Pepper, because now I feel like it's a trauma bond.
It's a trauma bond. Yeah.
So
drink your Dr. Pepper,
girl. So, and that's the only like soda for real that I drink. Ginger ale, I don't really. But I don't really consider that. It is soda, but I done learned that it's so many things in ginger ale that ain't even ginger. So it's just like, okay.
Yeah, and Verner's is real ginger from Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah, but it all.
Yes, I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah.
I think it was I can't even think of the ginger ale brand, but yeah. So it's just like I literally feel like there are things that I have contributed to,
for sure,
to a company or to a brand or even dialogue, you know, that I didn't reap the benefits of. I feel like all of the producers, the production company, it was I can't even think of Tracy's last name.
Edmonds.
Yes, Edmonds company, like all of these things. And I'm just like, I don't think that it was a beneficial,
a mutual,
yes.
I mean, it is certainly someone with resources, okay? And this is the same thing we said about R. Kelly, okay? Someone with resources manipulating someone that does not. Someone young and underdeveloped in this sense, okay?
So it's one of those situations where if somebody asks me to do it again, I'd be like, why? Like, what reason would I have to put myself in that situation all over again and it not only not be beneficial to me, but it's going to live on forever, right? And you're going to get a check until you die and then your family's going to get a check until they pass. And it's just like, what am I getting? What is my family? How are they benefiting from me giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly of myself? Because no one's perfect.
And I'm going to be myself.
And I'm going to be myself. Exactly.
This we know is that I do not have another person to be once I get there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so please love me. Please really want me to show up because I'm going to really show up. If y'all call me and tell me to come, then I'm going to be myself when I get there, okay? And anybody that, I don't know that, have you ever tried to reduce yourself?
It's painful.
No. Like, can you remember a situation where you specifically tried to reduce yourself for the benefit of fitting in or... I
can't say that I have.
I do not think so.
Yeah, I can't say that. Yeah, I remember like feeling like at one point when I was in a certain relationship that, you know, it's not that I'm not being myself. I'm putting more of myself into another person so they can be who they can be. Yeah. But it's not me minimizing completely like who I am. It's just me not exposing myself to the outside as much. Just so he don't feel
you controlling it.
I can control the environment, right. You know.
Right.
So, but I don't ever want to be in a situation, in an environment or around people where I can't be my authentic self.
Right.
Because that would be a war within me, and I don't want to argue with me, girl. I know me.
Right. So I asked because when I did charm school, you know, after Flavor of Love. It was there that, okay, I'm coming back into this second round of reality television, but with the wisdom of the first round. I know that the things that I do here will be clips, okay? So I am in a different kind of position, but let me tell you what happened that was like, bitch, you might not be in Kansas no more. When they took us camping, I don't know if you've ever seen, okay. So they take us and they're telling us, okay, you're going to go camping. They drop us off at the bottom of this mountain. And they're like, okay, this is all. And they drop us off in all of the shit. And they're like, this is all y'all stuff. Okay? There's nothing on the top of the mountain. So anything that you are actually going to need, y'all need to take it with you. Okay? So that was the first thing. But... y'all got these cameras out here. Okay, so I'm like, I'm gonna get this cup. Okay. And then we started walking. And you weren't seeing nowhere that you could even, was flat enough to even, you know, we just went up an incline. And I'm like, they might be serious. You know, okay. Let me go get a few more things. And so, you know, we re-evaluated our situation. And then I was like, okay, but there's going to be some stuff when we get up there. You know, it's production. They go have some stuff on the van. No. You know. And then at some point it was like, okay, they are going to, it's cold. We're hearing these wolves, I think this is. Like, they're going to come get us. No. You know. And it was like, oh, they serious. They dead ass. You know, this is a production, but there's no craft services. Okay, I have stepped out of my comfort zone. Because before, at the house, this is a set, okay? But now y'all have really, like, dropped us off in the wilderness, you know? And yeah, the cameras are here, but we really out here. If anything happens...
It's just going to be recorded. Y'all
can't... It's a nigga with a boom.
Girl.
The dude with the boom's name was Reno. He was so motherfucking beautiful. Oh, my gosh. But anyways... Hi, Reno. It's out there somewhere. But like I couldn't believe. You know who else that I know from being on production? Do you know who Matthew Cherry is?
Yes.
Hair Love.
Hair Love. Yep.
Was a production assistant on Flavor Love. That's how we met.
Oh wow.
Right.
It's so funny. I want to shout out Clive because Clive and I met as he was a production assistant on ATL when I was not ATL. It was Stomp the Yard. I lied, Stomp the Yard. So we met on the set of Stomp the Yard. But then he also ended up being in production while I was on College Hill.
Oh wow.
So it was so funny because Siobhan and I kept the phone in the drawer in my room. So whenever she would come and be like, hey, Ashley, can I borrow your hair curler? That was our code for for our little, you know, stowaway phone that we had because we weren't allowed to have phones. But I had 2 phones at the time. So I just gave him one of them. And so I remember I'd like text Clive sometimes and be like, hey, you know, what they about to have us do? Or right. But yeah, we've been friends since then. That was like back in 2006 when we met. But he's doing great things in production. Yeah. So I understand the feeling of seeing people where they start and then seeing how they flourished over the years because it's amazing.
Yeah. Clive's dog's going to be in my fashion show.
Oh!
I got a little denim blazer.
I love that.
Right, I know, but you know, the industry in Atlanta has grown so much. But it is cool to hear about. You know, I don't know anyone from production. I don't know anybody from Flavor Love. I have nobody. You know, and so because if it wasn't such a cultural phenomenon, this show, then I think that a part of me would almost think that I like dreamed it up. You know, because there's no one that I can just kiki about it. You know, people that have seen it for sure, but nobody that's
experienced it with
me. You know, nobody was there. This shit is just a thing that I created in my mind that
yeah,
it is unreal.
We can go at this forever because we're real friends, okay? Yes, in real life, not for play, not for TV, not for reality, not for this podcast. Like, Cristal is a very solid person in my circle, like super solid. I love her to death. At one point, I used to call her my baby mama because baby, like, she took Cadence to Vegas while I had to go to work one time. Whole experience, okay?
I was like, somebody let me take their child to Las Vegas.
I showed up too, you know, I showed up. I didn't just leave them there. But yeah, we are actual, genuine, authentic, real friends. At this point, we're sisters because she ain't going nowhere. I ain't letting her.
Right. We figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out, whatever it is. But we don't have no issues. We solid. I love her big and hard. And we're going to wrap it up now because, again, we can go at this forever. We will do a part 2. Let us know exactly what are some of the things that surprise you that you didn't know about or that you want us to dive deeper into the next time, because there will be a next time, because I'm definitely bringing her back, if not the next episode. So I'm going to sign out with 6 Degrees of Ashley. Cristal, you can sign out as well.
I'm Cristal the Great, and it is what it is.
All right, guys, we'll see y'all next time.